What is the main form of communication you use to keep in touch with your friends?
The main course I use is texting and calling.
Cell phone.
It's my cell phone.
A phone?
I call them through Facebook.
Talking? Cell phone.
It's my BlackBerry.
My cell phone.
Well, I text, I call people.
Texting on my cell phone.
Texting. Texting?
Probably texting.
I'd rather text than be on the phone.
While I would like to think it's calling or talking to them, it's probably texting.
Do you text a lot?
Yeah.
Yes.
24/7.
No, it costs too much money.
Yeah, I like to text a lot.
I text all the time.
I'm not a texting guy.
I text way too much.
It's a lot easier than calling. If I'm just trying to find out something to do tonight, texting is where it's at.
Sorry. It's almost unheard of to know a teenager who doesn't have his or her own cell phone and unlimited texting.
As a matter of fact, statistics show that many teens send over 1,000 text messages in a month.
Oh, for better or worse, texting is here to stay and a major method of communication.
Jess, would you just put the phone down, all
But
right?
it's really funny. Can you just look at it?
Just put
Kenny,
the phone.
All right. Texting, opportunity or barrier. That's what we'll be talking about today. Hi everyone, I'm Jess.
And I'm Kenny.
And
this is Realfaith TV.
It was definitely the majority of teens on the street who said that texting was their main form of communication.
We'll hear from them more later in the show, as well as meet our studio guest.
But first, let's meet our spotlight guest, Megan.
Megan also considers texting to be her main form of communicating with her friends.
She says talking on the phone can be awkward.
In fact, just about the only time she will call a friend is if there is a long story to tell. Everything else is by text.
I really don't call my friends unless there's like a long story that's too long for texting. Then we just pick it up, tell the story, and we're done. I think that calling is kind of awkward. You just run out of things to say, and then there's the awkward pause. But when you're texting someone, you can just think about it and then finally think of something to say. I would say like 99% of people have texting, but a lot of people like don't look at their phone as much as some people. Like I have my phone on me like 24/7, but I know a lot of my friends don't, and so like when I text them, they don't answer. Typing is easier because if you type something and then you don't like it, you can erase it before sending it. But if you say something, you can't take it back. So it's kind of like you can have the conversation you want to have without hurting someone's feelings by saying something you regret. Well, you could multitask because when you're on the phone with someone, you kind of can't be near other people, but when you're texting, you can be doing like 100 different things. It's less like awkward if you're on the phone with someone and you're sitting next to someone, like they're listening to your whole conversation, whereas if you're just texting, you can kind of just do it and quietly, and it's less disruptive. Well, that's definitely happened. Like I've sent something not meaning to hurt someone's feelings, but then it just came out wrong, or they read it wrong and then they got really upset. Then you talk about it and you work it out. But I think that's the negative point with the cell phones, because you can't see the facial expression of the person, so you can never know if they're joking. I'm kind of sarcastic, and I've sent sarcastic texts and then they didn't get the sarcasm, and that caused problems. There's times where like my friend would say something and I'd be like, oh, I'm so hurt, as sarcastic, like really when I'm not even hurt, and then they feel bad. Or like I just say a joke and they don't really get it because there's no like emotion in text, it's just words.
It's true, there really is no emotion in texting. So much of what we say can get lost in the translation.
For many of us, writing our thoughts is easier than actually speaking them. You have more time to put your ideas together before clicking the send button.
However, sometimes we may just write things without thinking them through, or write something just to write something.
Our intentions and feelings aren't always portrayed accurately over a short, written, abbreviated message like text.
Next, the teens on the street tell us whether they spend more time texting or talking on the phone.
And they describe what kind of information they are texting to their friends.
Do you spend more time texting or more time talking on the phone?
Neither, to be honest with you. I don't like both.
Texting. Talking on the phone because I don't text a lot. Texting.
Definitely texting. Texting.
More time talking on the phone.
Talking on the phone because I don't really like texting. It takes too long.
Talking on the phone.
More time talking on the phone.
More time texting overall.
More time texting.
Spend more time texting than I do on the phone.
More time texting.
I spend more time texting because I don't like talking on the phone because I hate those awkward pauses.
More time texting because like on the phone I don't really know what to say.
Describe how often you text and what kinds of information that you text. For example, random thoughts, sensitive information, gossip.
Every minute, like I'm always texting. Gossip. I text randomly. I don't text a lot, but when I do text, I'll text anything.
Usually like expressing how I feel.
I text like a few times every week, but it's usually to find out what someone's doing.
I text
every minute of every day about everything.
A couple hundred a day. I just like see what's going on with my friends.
I text once a day. Text usually girls. Hey, what's up, babe? Like those kind of stuff.
I text basically like every 5 to 10 minutes about stupid stuff.
I like do it a lot, but it's just like, you know, say hi.
Every day, all day, I'm texting. And I usually text random things.
I text just like to keep in touch, to let someone know what I'm doing. If I'm busy or if I can't speak, then I can talk to them or let them know like where to meet or how to do something.
Let's see if our studio guests like to text.
All right, they are Vince, Ijama. All right, guys, really? Can you guys put the phones away just for now? Like, we're trying to do a show here. Like, it'll be real quick, I promise, all right? You guys can turn them on right after the show, all right?
Fine.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, let's try this again. Vince, Ijama, Andrew, Phil, Gabby, Bridget, and Leah.
So we know you all text, but how often do you text? And do you ever use the telephone just to call people?
I text like seriously 24/7. Like I'm not even kidding. Like I fall asleep texting and then I'll wake up in the middle of the night and like text the person back. And then when I wake up, it's just back and forth and back and forth. And only if I have like a really serious conversation that I need to have do I actually call people on the phone.
I text a lot, but recently I've been trying to cut down on texting because, you know, I realized that it kind of like takes away from, you know, face-to-face communication, so.
Well, I'm not totally against using the phone to call people, but I do rely a lot more on texting. But if like I have something important to say, or if I'm too lazy to text, I'll just like pick up the phone and be like, okay, let's talk.
I think with a phone, it's just so time consuming. Instead of going on and on for like 10 minutes, you know, it's just, since we're so busy, texting is just the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. I text 24/7 like you. Wake up in the middle of the night and like random thought, text a person.
I usually text my friends because, you know, we're busy. You know, calling my friends is not always possible. Some are at work, some are maybe in class. It's easier, I think.
I'm a forgetful person, so like if the person can't talk on the phone right now and I like have a thought, I'm not gonna like remember it later. So I text them and they'll get it when they can.
I also really like having the opportunity to think before I say something. Like, I mean, some people may not, but like when I'm texting, I feel like I have so much more time to like come up with like a little witty response. I feel so much smarter when I'm texting instead of on the phone where I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like our spotlight guest was saying, like it's like that awkward pause in between like statements, and it's horrible. It's like, all right, I guess. I think that could be like the whole conversation. It's terrible. Yeah, exactly.
So you don't want those awkward pauses.
How many of you guys have actually like gotten in trouble for the way you've texted or somebody else's text?
A lot of trouble. And even before texting, like on like the computer, because it's the same thing. Like it's just words, and people don't get when you're joking. Yeah. So I'll be like kidding around, and people will be like not talking to me for like days because they're like, "You're a jerk." I'm like, I was kidding.
I got caught once texting in class. Now I was talking about something important. My friend needed me, and my phone was taken. I had to go to the vice principal. It was bad.
Our spotlight guest, Megan, has gotten into all kinds of trouble because of texting.
Let's hear a story now.
I've gotten in trouble for texting during school. I've gotten in trouble for texting too late, too much. I text like all the time. In school, I tried stopping because I did need to focus more, and it really improved my grades and stuff. And texting too late, I turn my phone off at 10 now, and I get a better night's sleep. Like before, I would stay up to like crazy hours texting, and I would be so tired the next day. Texting too much, I tried cutting it down, but I talk to a lot of people because I go away a lot for the summer, and my friends go to camp, so it's like we need to text to stay in touch. During school, I would turn my phone off, and at night, I would charge it in another room. Then it wouldn't be so much like a distraction, and I wouldn't have like the urge to text. And that really helped because soon I was just going to bed at 10. Even if my phone was in my room, I wouldn't even look at it. During school, I kind of just ignored my phone and forgot it was there. And by the end of the year, I wasn't even trying to text. Well, my grades never really got that bad, but you could definitely tell that I was missing things in class because I was texting. When you first get a text and you think of something to say, it's kind of like you're taken by emotion, and so you don't really know if that's exactly what you want to say. So I definitely do reread it, but I have friends who don't, and then you get it, and it causes like tons of drama and stuff. I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say the things I text in person, but it definitely makes it easier that it's texting, and so you don't have to really be face-to-face with the person. All the time I hear stories of like how people broke up with people during text, and how like they would say things like that they would never say in person about someone, or like they just took like inappropriate pictures. And my one friend was dating this guy for like 3 months. Things were going great. And then he sent her a text like breaking up, and she didn't expect it at all. And then she was really upset, and he didn't talk to her for the next like month. And that was really hard for her because she never even got to talk to him about like what went wrong, because he wouldn't do it in person. The text was like really just simple, like, I don't want to go out with you anymore. And I just thought that was really rude.
Yeah, like Megan was saying, like school, that gets in the way of a lot. Like if you're texting during school, it's like taking your focus off. And I know like from personal experience that my grades started to like, you saw a change. They started to lower once like I became like ridiculous, like texting all the time. And like I got my texting taken away for a little while, and it made me realize that like I don't need it with me like all the time.
I think that texting and trouble are almost synonymous, because I've had times where I've sent text messages to my friends and they completely misunderstand my meaning. So I've learned from that mistake, and I now, in my text messages, I put sarcastic, or I'm kidding, or do not take this the way you read it, just to make sure that they don't hate me for the next 8 years. But at the same time, you know, I think that what Megan was saying, you know, when you are so impersonal via text message, it can be really hard, you know, and it can stir a lot of trouble. I mean, you can't text message breakup.
Yeah, like I know a couple of guys that have done that, and it's like I wouldn't do that just because that's like really mean, like to the girl.
I've sent texts to the wrong person, and you know that starts a lot of trouble, even though they know it's not to them, but they could have taken it the wrong way. And this also happened to me. Someone sent a text to me talking about me. And yeah. So you be careful when you send text and take your time.
Yeah.
I actually once was hanging out with a few friends, and we met up with some people, and one of them was talking to me, and he showed me a picture that he was sent over text. Now this is not something you should send. And he was like, this was sent to me 20 minutes ago, and I can guarantee you over 1,000 people have seen it already. Because he was in a public school with like over 1,000 kids, and it just went around and around, and I was like, oh man, that's not cool.
Although there are many advantages to texting, there are also some downsides.
One is that we can send a message that seems mean or distant because the person can't hear the tone of your voice.
We may also send a message or a picture intended only for a friend, which has the potential of getting forwarded to literally thousands of others.
This can create embarrassment and hurt and damage reputations.
Let's go back to the teens on the street and find out if they have ever said anything in a text that they normally wouldn't say in person.
And if they have ever sent or received a hurtful or confusing text.
Do you find that when texting you may say things that you wouldn't normally speak to a friend in person or on the phone?
Yes. If they ask me if I like someone, like I don't dare to say it in person, but I say it by texting. I feel more comfortable that way.
Not all the time, because sometimes I get embarrassed.
I say a lot of stuff that I wouldn't say on the phone through text.
No, just normally say what I would say.
Whatever I say in a text is usually what I'd say in person.
Anything I really say in a text message, I would say in person.
You're not really with them. I mean, you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, it's actually different than talking like real life rather than talking texting, because you use different language.
You're not on the phone with the person directly, so there's not enough pressure.
If I text it, I'll probably say it like in person or on the phone too.
I don't normally say LOL. Also, I think I'm a little more like brazen when I'm texting, because you can't see the person. You don't know how they're going to react. And like, I mean, you could mean something for serious that they would take as sarcasm, so you can kind of get away with a lot.
Well, have you ever received or sent confusing or hurtful information via text?
No, I usually text nice things.
I don't think so.
No, not really.
No, I never done that.
Maybe once when I was breaking up with my boyfriend or something.
Yeah, I have.
All the time. Like an hour ago, someone told me I was annoying. They were like, oh, you're annoying, and then they texted me back and they're like, so where are you?
Sometimes I text and people don't understand what I'm saying.
Maybe joking around to my friends, but nothing serious.
Sometimes people, or especially guys, will play like jokes. Well, they'll send you like a mean text and be like, oh, just kidding, but they weren't really.
I don't do that stuff to like hurt people, because that's not how I am. Like I have, you know, good morals and stuff, so I don't really hurt people with my texting and stuff.
Do you guys find that you say things in a text that you normally wouldn't say in person, or have you ever received anything hurtful or confusing in texts?
I'm sort of like you. When I send text messages, I think more about what I'm saying. I know that definitely my vernacular is a lot bigger via text message, and I definitely watch how I'm placing my words together. Like syntax is important to me, and I have perfect grammar. I use semicolons. I'm the only person I know who uses semicolons in text messages.
A lot of times I feel, and I know this is a mistake, but like I gossip a lot during text messages. For some reason I feel like it's not gonna get around because it's like someone will ask me like, oh, I heard you were talking about so-and-so, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I was, what's up? Like, cause I don't know, cause I think that it's not that big of a deal. And then I realize like, oh, that person's probably gonna find out now.
Yeah, like when it comes to saying things that I wouldn't normally say like in person, I know like with girls we're very like loving, like, oh, I love you, like on a text message, and it's kind of more awkward saying it like in person. So like I know like that when it comes to that, I definitely say it via text. But sometimes even like when I have the more serious conversations and I want to thank my friend for like being there, like it's kind of hard for me to say it face to face, like thank you for being a good friend. It's a lot more easier just saying it in a text.
You get a lot like bolder, like you think you're like invincible through text message. A lot of my friends do that. They can't like see the other person's reaction, so like it's not like they're hurting the other person. And I know a couple of my bros, like they like to spit out more game. Like with girls, like they won't have the guts to say it to the girl to their face, but when it's texting, it's like they go right in for the kill every time. It's like
I like to dodge conversations if they get bad. Like if someone's like starting to either really get confusing or really starting to get me mad, I'll like stop answering, and then when they ask me later, they'll be like, "What happened?" I'll be like, "Oh, I fell asleep."
Yeah,
and they can't tell if I'm serious. I'm texting, so they can't tell if I'm serious.
Be right back 8 hours later.
Even with the fights in my school, like one person will take the video on their phone, and like by the next like lunch period, the whole school will have it.
Unfortunately, I've gotten nude pictures through text, and it's disturbing.
I think the reality is, that these images, they can be hurtful or embarrassing to the person, that's portrayed in them.
Trends like sexting, sending obscene photos by phone, or pictures taken out of context are rising.
According to the Reuters news service, some studies suggest 1 in 5 teens are sending inappropriate messages and photos via phone.
Pictures and stories that we might never share in person are being sent almost anonymously and like wildfire.
Have we begun to lose sight of our own humanity because of the lack of face-to-face communication?
Have we lost the ability to look into the eyes of a friend and tell them what we really think and feel?
When we receive a compromising or inappropriate photo of someone, why do so many of us press forward and send?
Next, Megan tells us about a teacher who told her about how life used to be before cell phones.
And how he predicted future generations will lose their communication skills.
She also gives us some advice on the do's and don'ts of texting.
One of my teachers actually told a story about how like when he was a kid, you would always go outside and play with your neighborhood friends, and it was just like total like contact with people. And he was like, by the time we're like 40, the kids aren't even going to be able to have a conversation with someone because they're going to be so used to doing it over the phone or over Facebook or like online, and they won't have any communication skills. Well, like texting's definitely become part of our regular lives. Everyone texts, but you should just still be careful, and you should still think about what you're saying because you're still talking to your friends, and it can hurt someone. You never know if the other person on the side is one of his friends, because that's happened to like one of my friends. Like she was talking to someone thinking it was one person, turned out to be another person, because you never know because you're not seeing the person. And you shouldn't say anything you don't want everyone to know, because people can easily just forward a text and like show people. Well, definitely don't ever send pictures that you don't want everyone seeing, and don't ever say something that you would regret easily and that would hurt someone else's feelings. It's really easy to hit the send button after you've texted something, but you should seriously consider rereading it a couple times, and then if you think it's bad, don't send it, even if there's like a little doubt that it can hurt them. If you wouldn't have the guts to say it to the person in their face-to-face, don't text it either, because it can still hurt them just as much. Well, also there's like the whole texting while driving. Like a girl on my basketball team who was driving us places, and she got a text, and she didn't like swerve off the road, but you could tell like she was more concentrated on the texting than the driving, and I think that's really dangerous. It definitely takes a lot of focus off of the driving, and the driving should be like the #1 thing. Don't make texting your whole life, because I did have like a point where like I would never be without my phone. And I still have my phone, but I don't use it as much because I'm getting more, I guess, confidence to like talk to people. I took a break and I thought it would be the hardest thing in the world, but it really wasn't that hard. There definitely is more to life than texting. It's important to have friends and to stay in contact with them, but there's a lot more you could be doing with your time.
Pope Benedict XVI said in his 2009 World Day of Communications address,
Young people have grasped the enormous capacity of the new media to foster communication.
this desire for communication is a reflection of our participation in the unifying love of God.
The God of communication and communion.
But His Holiness also cautions us to pay attention to
The quality of the content that is put into circulation using these means.
and to strive to respect the dignity and worth of the human person in using digital technology.
So do you guys have any advice in regards to texting?
Well, I know a rule that I have when I text. If I'm texting someone, I don't say anything that I wouldn't say in front of my mom.
Or like sarcasm. So much fun using sarcasm with text. So maybe just add like an exclamation point or like a ha-ha afterwards so people know like you're just kidding around.
Yeah, like I'll do like Vince, like I'll write in parentheses like dripping with sarcasm if I say something. Like I emphasize it so they really know what I'm talking about.
There are no teachings in the scriptures about texting, but what can our faith teach us about how to behave when texting?
That's what we ask the teens on the street.
Let's check it out.
What can your faith teach you about how to behave when texting? For example, not writing mean things.
I don't know, it just teaches you to be a better person.
You could be respectful when you text.
I guess it could teach me about what's right to say.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Don't do it.
Behave with manners.
Behave like a normal person.
To not send text messages like pictures, like because that could wind up being a bad thing. I actually had a couple of friends do that and they call it sexting, so I'm against it.
Yeah, I want to be honest with the person and everything like that. I think the Catholic faith has like showed me to be honest with people all the time.
I just think that whatever your faith teaches you your moral code is, then that should carry over. You can't just go crazy because you're not talking to the person directly.
Next, Megan reflects how, in addition to her faith teachings, her youth group and experience with Justice Works, a social justice youth ministry program,
Helped her realize that there were more important things she could do with her time than texting.
My faith teaches me that you should be kind and text and be gentle with other people's feelings and treat others like the way you want to be treated and respect the other people. Respecting that even if you say something through text, it still could hurt their feelings. So, like, I look to like the commandments, I guess, and like love your neighbors as yourself. If you send a text that you wouldn't want to be getting, then you shouldn't be sending it. Whenever I'm in youth group or Bible study, I don't have my phone, so that's an easy 2 hours a week where I don't have my phone. And then we went on retreat. In the retreat, I didn't have my phone, and I thought that would be hard, but it was really good time to reflect and not use electronics at all. There would be times at night where at the Justice Works or the retreats where it would be prayer time, and I thought, oh, that's gonna be so boring. But it really wasn't, and I really got to think about my life and reflect and think of other things I could do to help people, and it was really a good time to grow. And also I thought if I was with people I barely knew at Justice Works or retreats that I would just need my phone to text people that I already know, my friends, but I really got to know the people who I didn't know, and we really formed a bond because we were all helping people and growing with God, and because I learned that I do have things in common with people that I never thought I would. The first day of Justice Works, I was oh, I'm never gonna be friends with any of these people, and then by the end of the week, they were some of my best friends. Before, my whole life was about texting, socializing, and now I really do want to continue doing social work and stuff like that, and growing and praying and stuff, because I did learn a lot about how we have so much and we took it for granted, and how we need to change a little to help people, because so many people have nothing, and it's really heartbreaking. So instead of texting for 3 hours a day, maybe spend an hour or two researching something or helping some cause, or making sandwiches or something.
I know for me, my faith is, helped me have patience when I'm texting, because I now think about what I'm writing before I send it, because that could hurt someone's feelings.
Yeah, and what the teens in the street were saying, just go with who you are and who your faith has taught you to be morally. If you don't use profanity when you're talking with someone, don't use it in texting, because then you're not being who you really are.
I think it's important to allocate time for God in our lives because, I mean, if you're an overuser of texting, then that time could be spent on better things. And I think it's important to differentiate what time you need to be using for what.
God gave us the gift of language.
And the gift of one another.
Technology is also a gift.
We must treat all of these gifts with respect.
We're responsible for what we say and do, whether it be in person or in a written message like a text.
We're responsible for spreading good or choosing not to do what is wrong.
It's also important to realize that the short, quick communication of texting isn't a substitute for the committed, honest, and personal communication that happens face-to-face.
It can isolate rather than join us together.
And we are selling life short if we make it into a constant string of isolated cyber phrases.
What have you learned about being a responsible text messenger?
We'd love to know. Contact us through our website.
The address is www.realfaithtv.com.
Or you can call us at 609-406-7402.
And we'll leave you today with this final prayer.
Lord, may I remember that technology is a gift that can create opportunities.
Or become a barrier to my personal interactions.
Please send your Holy Spirit to help me develop an exchange with people that increases in love and unity.
And help me use the technology in my life in a way that honors people first.
We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time on
Realfaith TV.
God bless.
All right, guys, you can turn your phones on now.
Bye.